Hi, everybody. Okay, so this is Dominique Morgan's personal Instagram, which is why I'm putting on Carmex in front of y'all and why this has just been a day, but we're here. Huh? Amen. Today I am super excited to be able to talk to the incredible change maker that is Nala Simone. And I am adding to the live now.
Look.
Hi,
Look,
hi,
look, look.
hi.
Look. Let me get my filter, y'all, because look, it's been a long day. I'm not even going
Listen,
home now. The girl, they
understand.
don't got a filter for me now.
Girl, the background is giving, very mustard. You seen all the girls putting the mustard on their watermelon? Have you seen
Yes,
that?
girl, they don't got a filter for me. It's the shade for me.
Listen,
Girl,
I believe not
look.
having access to a filter that moves me is slight transphobia, but that's a panel discussion that we can
Okay,
bring
this
up
is
at a
cute.
later time. All right. Yes,
This is
it's
cute.
giving warm and dewy. I just came in from the Caribbean, honey. It's giving it's giving that. We live.
Oh my God, it's been a week, children. Listen.
Can we just say it's been a year and it's
Baby.
only been 6 months, but it feels like we've had 12 months already.
Mm.
The fact that it's almost July, mercy.
Mercy.
Mercy. So y'all are on my Dominique Morgan personal Instagram. This was supposed to be over at Black and Pink, but we making it work. And the Black and Pink team is in the comments, so it will be shared in the Black and Pink our story feed and things, so people can find us here. Hopefully, people have put up like a quick image to let them know to come over to my Instagram. But at all costs, the great thing about these moments is that we will download it, we will post it to the Black and Pink Instagram feed, to our
Exactly.
Black and Pink YouTube channel, and our Facebook page, so people will have access to it. Not just because accessibility is important, because not everybody is available at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, but because the topic that we are going to attempt to get into, and I'm saying attempt because this conversation is so immense and
Yes.
it's so overwhelming in ways that an hour isn't enough.
No.
A lifetime isn't enough to talk about the experience of the oppressed. There's a certain conversation when we're talking about, we oftentimes appropriately talk about the experience of Black trans women in the United States and the harm we experience, the attempted erasure of our existence, the commodification of our sexuality, of our presence, the barriers that have been erected to prevent us from having access to systems we deserve to have access to, be it capitalism. Y'all want us to divest from capitalism and we ain't never had an experience of it. That is very real.
Ooh.
Listen,
Listen.
and I'm in one of those
Look,
spaces. That's why
you
I
say,
was
look,
so.
we just got on and you already shaking it up. Okay.
I'm in
Let me.
one of those moments because I had a beautiful. I spoke with a young person before this that just I was a crying mess. But if you take all of those truths and you position them to the experience of Black trans women in the land that Black folks come from,
Come on now.
I I have the privilege of Nala and I have been in each other's kind of atmospheres for the last couple of years. For people who know, some people don't know, I started my transition in March of last year. My public kind of portion of it, right? And
Right.
so there was this beautiful moment where there were these Black trans women that I knew, that I had, I've watched Nala's, that moment with you on the Breakfast Club so many times. You're so regal and you're so incredible. But there was this beautiful moment for me in my transition where these Black trans women that I really just respected and loved so much, like we became sisters. And
Yeah.
so there was these casual moments where we would talk on social media. But Nala posted a fundraiser about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
talking about the needs of the folks she was serving through her organization, R.O.A.D. And Nala will give you a breakdown of how R.O.A.D came to be and what R.O.A.D does.
Yeah.
But I want to give y'all a background of how we got here. Because oftentimes people get involved in people's business and they do it to center themselves. They do it to try to take up space. They do it for every reason but the appropriate reason, in my opinion.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember seeing her social media posts and thinking, I think sis wanted to raise $5,000, and that $5,000 would benefit more than 100 women.
Yeah.
And the truth is that at Black and Pink, to house someone in a hotel for a week, we can spend $2,000.
Wow.
And immediately in my mind, I was like, so 3 weeks of housing someone would create some sort of access for 100 people.
Yeah.
There's something, one, that just stuck with me. Two, as a Black trans woman leading Black and Pink and leading this agency, who's not afraid to talk about abundance, is not afraid to fundraise, is not afraid of the fact that I know what my team should be paid and so on and so forth, but recognizing the privilege and access I have leading an organization like Black and Pink, I also was like, okay, well, what can we do with who we know and what we have access to make sure that we're figuring out how to show up for our family, right? Abolition is this expansive experience. We don't want abolition in the Americas, honey. This is an expansive experience, amen. And last but not least, how do I approach my sister in a way that allows me to see all of her that she's given to this work, and also show up in a way that I hope she really sees that I just want her to be okay.
Oh,
because I know how hard it is to go to sleep at night and think about, okay, I need to sleep, but I also don't know how many people that I'm positioned to service are able to sleep right now. And so in our first conversation, it was myself, Samia, and our director of program, Samia.
I was a mess. I was crying boots.
Listen, I was crying boots, but there was a moment where you showed us a brief screen capture of your WhatsApp conversation with these women.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I saw a brief moment of, this is what this sister carries every day. And so because of those reasons, we are now in a place where here in Pride Month, a lot of the girls ain't talking about Pride Month because for them to make a coin for the Pride events, they've moved them later in the year. I'm not hating on that. There's no shade to that. Get your life. And also, when I think about some of these organizations that represent the needs of queer people and the funds that they have collected this year, and every time I see a dollar, I'm like, wow, I know what Nala could do with that. And so here today, Black and Pink is expressing a clear partnership with R.O.A.D, not a partnership in the spirit of co-opting or centering the work, in the spirit of, my sister, you lead us, we're going to follow. And in the spirit of, I cannot imagine saying that I am fighting for freedom and I'm not figuring out what does freedom look like, what does liberation look like in a very expansive way.
I just saw one of my members, they're actually on here, so hopefully if time,
yes.
I believe.
How many people can we add? How do we, can you have more than 2 people? I've seen the girls do
girls do it. I don't know if it's like a thing.
Ask them to send a request, because I think a person has to request to join.
Okay, I see Kim. Kim, in a little bit, if you're on and you're still watching, please join. Kim,
please. Well, please just join when you can, because your voice, we want that right now. So because that's the power of this, right? This is about amplification. So you are seeing us make social media posts talking about the work of R.O.A.D. You are seeing us talk about the needs of the organization and how they're showing up for our people. In the continent, Black and Pink we've made a financial investment to the work, because the coin is the easiest thing. Girls talk about the coin they've given somebody. I'm like, okay, girl, that's cute. What's after that? But we're making an investment to the mission, because the mission aligns and is intrinsic to the mission that we have at BNP, of this idea of liberation, this idea of freedom. And I don't want to be free if my sisters are not free. So in that spirit, Nala Simone, who is the founder and the executive director of R.O.A.D, is here with us. Nala, sis, you know I love you down. And I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad that we are working together on this. What I would love for you to do is, um, okay, um, what I would love for you to do is talk about who you are,
Yeah.
because I believe who you are is a through road to how you've chosen to have your hands in the work, right? And then what does that look like from road? And what are the things that you are navigating every day trying to engage in service provision in a whole other continent, knowing the barriers we have to that, trying to do that here at home. I know
Okay.
that's long,
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna try to rush it too, because I know like
and
you
y'all
want
share this live, tag people in this live. We are talking about the experience of Black trans women in Africa. This conversation is important, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But tag people, share this, because we want as many people on this live right now as possible. Nala.
to. Yeah, so I'll start off with often we start off with work, but I'm just gonna say I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a lover. I am someone who believes in radical joy and radical love. I believe that we will win. Um, and I'm a woman of trans experience who all the work that I do is literally a love letter to Black trans women. It is a love letter to Black trans men in solidarity. It is a love letter to non-binary people, queer people, the African diaspora. All that I do is for Black folks. Period. At large. And then ultimately, I believe that when we serve those who are most marginalized, we serve the whole community. We serve the entire community.
There's the one.
Um, so I'll start there. Believe it or not, I do have to work a 9 to 5, to maintain myself. The work that I do for R.O.A.D, and I preface this, all of the donations go to, whether it's stipend for people who need to help me, or it goes to help just folks in Africa, the U.S. And when I say Africa, I'm going to name the countries: Congo, Uganda. We also have Kenya. And those are the three main. We've also have refugees, for example, Jamaican folks who have seek asylum in other countries. And when I started this, honestly, I had a vision. And the vision was simply just to get queer and trans folks to travel to Africa to meet with their queer and trans siblings and to talk about leadership building. It was I went to South Africa in 2017, and I was like, oh my God, it feels so good to touch the soil. There's something about touching the soil of Africa and feeling that vibration run through the bottom of your foot to the top of your head. And it's like this calling of like, welcome back home. And then you feel this why do I get emotional? You feel this affirmation that when you talk to other people, they're like, welcome back home. And so while I was there, the first thing I was like, yo, what does it look like to connect to people that are not just my run through my ancestral DNA, but actually people who sit in the intersection of Blackness and queerness and transness? What does that look like? And so my second trip to Africa was in Kenya in February around Black History Month. Well, we know Black History Month is every day. Let's be very clear. But
Hello.
I did a pilot trip where I took queer and trans folks with me, and we met with the trans siblings out there, and particularly one trans brother stuck out to me who was talking about the violence that they were going through. Although they were residing in Kenya, they were from Uganda. And if folks don't know the history of Uganda, Uganda has a lot of anti-LGBT laws. I mean, they had the anti-gay bill, also known as Kill the Gays, right? And so when we think about gender-based violence in the US and we think about what it may look like globally, oftentimes, because we have trans folks who show up in their authentic truth, they're the first one to experience gender-based violence. Why? Right? We know how women are treated, but when we have individuals where the government saying you're supposed to be this, and then we're radically choosing our authentic self, those are the folks who experience the violence. What do I mean? Femmes, right? Whether what we know as butch queens, right? Trans women. Then we see the violence like conversion rape therapy for trans men, non-binary folks. And so there's a list historically of liberation, what liberation could look like, but the repression being so embedded from capitalism, white supremacy, anti-race, anti-black, that each country has been indoctrinated in that, right? And when we think about Africa, Africa is one of the first people that look, when you think about Nigeria, look at more than one genders at birth.
I think it's really important to uplift that historically experience of transgender nonconforming people, the very ways that we need that folks expect us to navigate community socially,
Right.
to be affirmed and seen, are the very things that in parts of community will get us killed and get us hurt.
Absolutely.
That the very dress that I need to wear for you to ma'am and assist me when I go to the gas station is the very dress that if a man finds it to be too appealing to him, is a reason for him to see me to be harmed. And I think that's really important to talk about the space of white supremacy. Absolutely. In Africa, and for people to like pin that, because if it's permeating the motherland, how are folks who are US based not grasping that the platforms they've created based in harm to the queer and trans community are based in them essentially being a tool of whiteness and harm? Like, I just want to uplift that, sis. Like, what I'm hearing is white supremacy has imbued our has colonized our communities all over the globe. And in turn, Black people, we're being positioned to give our lives to try to decolonize spaces to save just a few of us, whether it's to be around to tell the story. Hopefully it's for us to be in a position to thrive. But at the end of the day, we just really are trying to make it.
And when we think about whiteness, right, also thinking about the intersection of how whiteness show up through theology, right? And so a lot of these conversations, even as a minister in training, is understanding how whiteness shows up and uses religion, right? Uses social construct to divide, to put in ranks who gets. Anything closer to whiteness gets more, right? And so what we're seeing, particularly when we think about even now, just recently there was a bill brought up again on May 31st. May 3rd of 2020. There was they basically passed a sexual offense bill, which is called a Sexual Offense Bill 2019, which is a bill that basically can't arrest anyone who is in the act of homosexuality, right? And oftentimes what that looks like is individuals who are often also trans, because the government doesn't look as a separate of trans as they conflate everything, right? They won't have a conversation that gender is separate from sexuality. And so I say that to say, because I know that there are folks who say, well, I have folks who live out there who are male identified, who could walk into a jail cell and say, I'm gay, arrest me. And I'm not talking about those individuals who have passable privilege to masculinity and what masculinity looks like. What I'm talking about, gender-based violence for femme-identified individuals, and even those who are masculine of center, who, if they get stopped and their ID says femme, or assign female at birth, or whatever case may be, or even their name, right? Because when we give people names at birth, right, it's to identify a gender, that they are the ones who are mostly targeted and coerced, right? I've seen a lot of coercion in terms of, if you give me $100, we won't take it to court, because the charge is 10 years in prison, right? So when we think about incarceration, we have a lot of trans folks who are fighting incarceration on top of food insecurities. Many of the girls in Uganda, even Congo, are using sex work as a form of survival, which we know are far too familiar. Is that my sister Kim? I'm going to shut up and I'm going to pass it to my sis, because that's how we do.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, Dominique. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sister Nara.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, period. I would love for people just to hear from your space the work that you're doing, the impact of the work that R.O.A.D is doing in supporting the work you're doing. And because we're trying to lay out to people that we can't talk about the experience of Black trans folks in our liberation and look at sectors. It needs to be expansive, no matter how scary that feels. And we need to really prepare ourselves to decenter ourselves. That doesn't mean we're not involved in the conversation, but it means that we may not be the most oppressed girls in the spectrum of that. And that's okay. Because as Nala said in the beginning, if we're looking at the people who are the most impacted and we're creating solutions based in that, then everyone else will inherently benefit. So at the nexus of this work that we're talking about, you being there, what can you share with us that can really show, like really lay out what's needed and the impact of what R.O.A.D is doing in your community?
Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Kim Love. You'll excuse my English a bit. I'm going to try as much as possible to make sure that people understand. My name is Kim Love. I'm the Executive Director and co-founder at Trans Positives Uganda. Trans Positives is an organization for trans women who are living with HIV, sex workers, and trans refugees. I'll go straight to the work we have been doing with R.O.A.D. It's really amazing to meet Sister Nara. She has really changed our lives. We are so glad. We don't have any words to express how much we feel about the work we are doing with R.O.A.D through Sister Nara. We are really so grateful. I got in contact with Sister Nara last year when COVID was really hitting us so much in the country. We didn't have access to food. We didn't have access to our medicine because we had to go and pick our ARVs, but we were under total lockdown and we didn't have any means of transport. Sister Nara came in rescue. She re-rescued us. She bought us food. We were behind rent. She paid for our rent and everything was moving on very well. This is our second lockdown, and immediately when the president put us under lockdown, I told Sister Nara we are under second lockdown. But the amazing work is Sister Nara was able to raise funds, and we bought a very big land, which we are going to use as trans women in Uganda and in East Africa to start agriculture, which we've already started. And this is going to help us so much into creating economic empowerment for trans women in Uganda. We cannot be employed anywhere, but this is going to be our space for employment for all trans women in Uganda, and we are planning to have all trans women in East Africa. We've been disappointed a lot, but we feel so glad that we have our own land. We are going to build a shelter. There's going to be no more evictions from houses, because every time we've been chased away from houses, you trans women, leave this house, leave this house, leave this house. Yeah. We don't entertain LGBTI people. But with this land, God willing, we shall be able to build a shelter that's going to host all trans women in Uganda. We're going to put structures that we're going to use for economic empowerment. Trans women in Uganda have talent. They're fashion designers. We're going to get a small room we shall use as a workshop for trainings in different capacities. I like Sister Nara has really helped us a lot through R.O.A.D. That is the biggest achievement we have so far. But we are not out of food anymore. We have our medicine. It is because of R.O.A.D. This is very, very important right now. It's the most important thing. Right now we are under lockdown, but the most important thing is food and medicine. That's the most important thing now that we are looking at. Because when you don't have food, people tend to stop taking their medicine. We don't adhere, but with food, our adherence is really very good. We are really so glad. I've been sending pictures to Sister Nara of our family when you're eating here. We are in a shelter of now 15 people. We are not allowing any other person to come in because of COVID. COVID is too much now in our country. So we are really sorry that we are not allowing any other person who has not been part of us to come in, because it is expensive to treat COVID and it's very expensive to go for testing. There are very many trans women there who are homeless, but right now we cannot allow anyone in our shelter. But it's because of COVID, not because we are selfish, but because of the diseases that are going on in the country. But that's it from R.O.A.D. and
yeah,
and
and
we are really so glad.
I'm gonna talk a little bit
God
about the lockdown. Oh, listen, I just thank God. God knows what God is doing when God is able to connect us. So I just trust the God about understanding that God is doing the work for a breakthrough globally, because I know that once all of us start having this conversation, that organizations in the U.S. can pledge to be a sister organization to a African country, then in the Caribbean, so that we're all making sure that we're sewing into each other. My goal is that R.O.A.D is helping organizations build that bridge and that gap. So when we get something, we know that that US dollar is going to translate into abundance in Africa, so that we're not depending on the government, but that we have infrastructures that is sustaining us, which is why, I came up with the 2 campaign, which is Sustaining Us All, which is the safe house that's going to happen in 5 to 10 years. I envision, we talk about this. I envision sisters having housing and being able to have their business, making their own clothes and stuff, and internationally sending it to the girls out here. You remember like the Avon folks who they got their products and they're able to have their own business. Now, what if trans folks had led that? What if we were able to do consignments with Sephora and they said, if you buy this makeup bag, know that it is made from the trans woman in Uganda. Know that it's made from your trans siblings in Uganda. Know that when you purchase it, 50% goes right back to the work. And so I know it to be true. There's a saying that good takes time, but when you're urgent, good happens. And I believe that. Just thank you, Sister Dominique, because I've reached out to so many people, and this is not in like resentment or anything like that. This is more so I'm just glad that folks are saying yes to like respond, because it is a weight. It is a weight, and to work a 9 to 5. To do this work, I'm up 6 a.m. to sometimes midnight, and even taking calls at 2 a.m. So I'm just grateful that you're using your platform to one, break open that conversation that many are not having. And I hope it does
I need
more.
to say to y'all that I will do everything in my power to figure out how we drastically reduce these years that we are talking about. I will put everything I have on the line to make this happen, because what I'm realizing, not even realizing, what I'm feeling is that it's so hard to break out of the shell of the oppression you're experiencing in your space.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. And so that allows me to give grace for people who are like, I don't have the capacity for that. And I'm very grateful that for whatever reason, I feel like I do. And I feel like Black and Pink has a capacity. So Nala, there's so many more conversations you and I need to have about what this looks like.
Absolutely.
But Kim, I need you to understand, sis.
I do understand.
I need you to understand
I
that I
understand.
mean it. That
Thank
we are
you
going to
so
make
much.
this happen. That we are going to push this through, because how can any of us feel comfortable and okay when we're all not comfortable and okay?
Exactly.
And and that's not me saying that what you've worked for, what you fought for, that you shouldn't enjoy it. I'm just saying, be aware, be mindful, and don't get drunk in your individual experience of liberation, because that's step one. It's like, what's next? And so in the spirit of what's next, I just want to explicitly be able to list off tangible things people need to be doing to continue the support of the work that R.O.A.D is doing, in the spirit of meeting to the dreams that I'm hearing you discuss, Kim, in the communities. So what for the girls with ADHD like myself, they need a good strong list, honey. That sometimes we can't come through the whole video, honey, but we can be like, at this, when my staff
I
can
need to
say,
look at it and be like, okay, this is
my
where I
God,
go back to. Okay.
where my staff can go to the description of this and say, at this minute mark, we get a list of tangible items. What are the ways that we need to be showing up right now?
Kim, I could talk, but I'll let you go and talk, because you are on the land. And I believe in those who are impacted in the most should share first, and I'll come around. So you share as someone who is a member and receiving funds. You share what is it that you know that you need, and I can round it off from all the other folks that I am serving in Congo and in Kenya as well. So you go ahead and start what you know that you need in Uganda particularly. And just to be clear, as well, there when Kim is talking about lockdown, I want you to understand that these lockdowns is also mean they can't go over to districts. So what do I mean? So say you have the US and you have Alabama, you have New York. The lockdowns are so tight in district, people cannot travel within, they can't get on the road to go to the next district or what we know the next state. They cannot do that. They are stuck. So just be clear that Kim is serving 15 folks in her area. There's also other trans folks in other areas who are in need as well. And R.O.A.D sees that list growing every day. And also just to name that, R.O.A.D is a U.S. Based organization, and my goal is to become NGO so that the international work that I'm doing can be recognized. Because I don't think there's any Black trans-led international person,
No, yeah.
Black, just doing this work. I don't. There is not. There is
Let me
not
tell you
Black.
how. Let me tell you how the universe works. I stressed the hell out of my staff last year when I said, you know, we're about to go into this $2 million project for Opportunity Campus. But before I leave Black and Pink in 3 years, Black and Pink needs to be a global agency, and we need to be opening Lighthouse initiatives in Africa. And so not only do I believe that I was just meant to see that post that day, I believe this conversation was meant to happen because at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I'm the person that should be at the center of that, but I know Black and Pink has the capacity to do that. Abolition just can't feel like it's accessible and powerful and improving the experience of white people in this land. That just can't be. And I absolutely am not going to give my life work to making the lives of white people better when their ancestors have done everything they can to make my life worse. That's not what it's going to be. And so this space of this work and these tactics we're discussing, one, I need people to recognize these are base level needs that folks are talking about.
Right.
These are I want to eat so I can feel ready and prepared to take my medication.
Exactly.
We're not able to move physically, so the space where I am housed should feel beneficial. All of you girls who thought you was in prison last year in the pandemic, girl, why don't you pull from that energy and find some empathy and think about what's really being shared with you, that folks are being positioned to experience this oppression in perpetuity. And these base level supports are going to be a catalyst for change. And so we're talking about housing, we're talking about financial support, we're talking about establishment of this national entity with R.O.A.D. Like, so let's say people want to send things, right? Because I'm trying to figure out all the girls that are going to watch this and be like, okay, are donatable items an option right now for any of the things y'all need?
The thing is that from what Kim has shared for me, and Kim, you can speak more about it. The thing is the timing. So say folks do get together and do like a barrel or something. Because of the lockdown, it's the time that they will get it will be far. It won't be as urgent that we need it. You get what I'm saying?
So the dollar is so I asked that explicitly. So I need you to know, if you're gonna go buy 10 soups, send $10. The soups are not going to get there. That's the current status right now. So for the girls who are going to be like, I want to divest from the capitalist society, from the girls who are like, I don't use PayPal, I don't use these services, I love that for you. But we're listening to people tell us that they're in a space right now where a care package ain't going to hit. We have to create a clear continuum of financial investment in this work, because that is the only thing that will get into the communities. Yes, if I'm misspeaking, somebody correct me. At this time, the dollar investment is what's going to allow Nala and Kim and everybody who's in that space to figure out how they weaponize those dollars. Yeah. But that financial investment is huge right now. Not, again, for people, and
I'll let Kim speak more about that. And what I must say is about how, there's a level of sisterhood. When Kim reached out to me, I didn't need to question the validity of what she was experiencing. I didn't need to question if it was true or not. And what she did the first time I sent her money was send me pictures of receipts and all the food she was able to buy. And I was like, sis, you ain't got to do that.
Not my business.
Right. You ain't got to do that. But
Girl, if you
it was her showing up in that way.
Yes.
That she was like, I appreciate that because I've been only surviving off of hot water. We only have been surviving off of hot water. Let me show you what your $300 the first time will do. All of us have medication. All of us have food, and now we're able to pay for rent for a month. Do you know $300 pay for their rent for the month?
My God. And I think those numbers are important because, again, we're at a time where we feel like there's not enough. You know, I kind of gagged.
Yes.
The estate of Tupac made a Pride collection, and they're donating to a couple organizations. And since you and I have had that first conversation, Nala, every time I look at a dollar, I'm always thinking about how impactful that dollar could be here, but how it could shake the table in Kim's community and with the folks that y'all are working with. And so we can't say we don't have it.
That's it.
We can't say it's not possible, right? So I really, we're going to do some work. Like, we have been posting on social media, but in my mind, this is more about, you know, putting a link for donation on the Black and Pink website, us really having a deeper conversation about what partnership looks like for us to support you around messaging, around anything you need. Because again, I remember volunteering and like, I got a day job and then I'm going home at night to do the thing that I'm really passionate about. And I don't want to lose in this conversation that it stresses me out the way that the most oppressed people are always trying to figure out how to stretch themselves to show up for our people.
Exactly.
And so I don't want to lose the fact that also this is about, I want to support you, Nala, because you're the head and heart of this. Mm-hmm. And I'm listening to Kim talk about the ways you've shown up, and sis, we can't lose you, right? And so this work, this partnership, this work, I feel like for some reason was spoken long before we ever had a conversation.
Yeah, and I had a spiritual reader actually talk about this moment when R.O.A.D became an idea. I do believe in ancestral, you know, warriors, and you go and, you know, she threw the bones and she said, as R.O.A.D grow, there will be two people that will be by your side. And it was like, just sitting here, I just had a moment like, oh, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. It's tiring, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So I just know that you were the person to see that post, to get it moving, because it was times that the post was not moving. When Kim saw R.O.A.D post, she reached out. She could have been like, no, I'm not going to do it. But she thought it not robbery because she knew the lives that were attached to her. She understood her calling, her task. And I understand mine every time I talk to a girl in Africa. Every time I talk to a girl here, I understand my calling every day.
The work is about centering our people. Again, we want to get these financial donations in place. Let's talk about the stories that we also want to have echo, because I in the space of offering grace to my people, it's like I feel like a lot of people don't know. And I know, like, you know, we all respond with people, well, Google is your friend. These are the stories you're not going to see on Google. This is information that's not going to be uplifted. So can we bring into the space the stories and the numbers of people, the numbers of need, the story, the experience that people need to understand, that you're not going to easily see on CNN, or you're not going to see on a news story, that is so valuable and important to amplify and have echo through our communities all across the U.S.
Kim, please share.
Okay, yeah, sister. Right now, we need, because we're under COVID and the country's under lockdown, but we need to have like 200 trans women in or over 5 divisions of Kampala have food and access to medicine. That's the most important thing right now, because the country is under total lockdown until August.
August. And you said 20 people. You said 20 people, right?
No, 200 trans women in 5.
200 trans
200,
women.
okay, 200 trans women.
Yeah, in just one district, but this district has 5 divisions
Okay.
because we
So
cannot cross past this
so
district.
200 people in one division, and the community
One
has 5
district in
divisions.
one district in
One
5
district,
divisions.
5 division. So it's almost
Yeah.
like, for example, New York. Think about like, okay, think about New York. We got 5 boroughs. We have
Right.
Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens. That's exactly how it is. So in that part of Uganda, and you could, I don't, we're not saying the part because of safety issues.
For
Just
sure.
so,
I'm
right,
looking for, I want
right,
people to get numbers, and that these are easily met numbers that we should be showing up for our
right.
people.
So in this district, there's 5 divisions. So
Yes.
in one division, there's 200. So think about Brooklyn. Brooklyn would have 200 trans women.
Right.
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 And that's that one division. Get what
So
I'm
we're
going?
potentially looking at, if we were looking at numbers, conceptualizing for this section, we're potentially looking at almost 1,000 people that have need.
Yeah.
Let's say
Minimum.
1,500. And that's, and the reason why I say that, and that's a low mark, because we still have Mukano, we still have other areas. I hope
Other
I said it right.
district.
Other
Yeah.
districts that then have other divisions. So when we look at
Yes.
Congo, for example, when I say Congo, so we're serving the eastern part of Congo, and that's near Rwanda. So when the volcano, not to take away from Uganda, when the volcano erupted, all the trans women that I was sending money in Goma, all their housing,
Yeah.
food, all of that got taken up in the volcano. So imagine all the resources that I sent, then I have to now raise more funds. And so emergency is basically the absence of choice. People don't get to choose when there's emergency.
For sure.
And so R.O.A.D is literally trying to remedy emergencies while trying to build infrastructure. So I say that to say,
So you're having to be reactive while you're trying to be proactive.
Exactly.
Which is the hardest way to do this work, because it always, I've been saying to folks, I'm a huge comic book fan. And the thing that's interesting about Superman is that Superman is never there super early, but he's always there right before it happens. Would we ever call him Superman 1 if he got there right after the accident every time? And would he even want to be Superman anymore? And that's what the work can feel like, is that we're always, it's like the accident has happened and we got to come there and we don't ever get to stop it from happening. And so this is that type of work that allows us, the more of us to be involved in it, to, some of us can be in the moment and some of us can be like, can do the dreaming work. It's hard to do that in one body sometimes. So if we're looking at, when you think about a dollar number, when you think about what it looks like for one person to have needs met, what is that?
So currently, like for example, for 200 trans women to have food and medicine, and also that includes transport, that's hiring an ambulance, because they're the only means of transport that are allowed to move from one place to another. For one division, I think we need like $2,000 for those 200 trans women.
So
$2,000
$2,000 will meet the need of 200 trans women, right?
Yeah.
So 200 times 200.
200 divided by, I think that's what you're trying to do.
No, I'm trying to hold on, wait a minute. 200 times 15 is 3. So for 3,000 folks times 5. So if we're looking at about $15,000 could meet the need of 3,000 women in the community.
That's right.
It's not perfect numbers, but it's looking at us, one, being expansive, because oftentimes when I talk about what it takes, it means that I'm talking about the bare minimum, and we need to be moving out of that, right? This is, we do the triage work, and then we figure out what is that space of thriving, what is that road to that. So let's talk about $20,000 to meet base needs right now.
Right, and that's not even included, because I have to say, what we have luxury that we don't realize our trans siblings have luxury. We get to, even though it's not the best, we get to have access to hormones and medication and doctors. They can't even fantasize or romanticize the possibility of being able to do that in a lockdown.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
have to basically start off, for example, Kim and another person who we had our HRT campaign where she had to go through 13 hours from another country, which is Kenya, to even meet a doctor to be able to start her journey. But guess what? When you start, that journey is a consistent journey. You can't stop and stop. And so it's been hard to support her as a leader as well with other leaders to get them where they could be for safety, right? Because we understand, well, when you have your access to the care, it gives you accessibility, it gives you safety. And so I'm trying to get them to safety while again, the emergencies are coming in like floods. It's just coming in like floods. So
One of
I would
my
love us
team
to
members in the
get
comment asked, was the number that we gave of for 200 folks, and we're talking about $3,000, is that a monthly number, or is it like, what does that look like?
ideally, if I could, as an organization, get to 200K per month, I could onboard staff and I can maintain stipends for leaders. That's how I'm looking at it. If I could get 200K a month, I could fuck the world up. just put it like that. I can fuck the shit. I can fuck it up.
One, I think, and I think that is, one, it's important to speak that, and two, here's the other piece is that we US based, like, one, let's push it past like the Black trans folks who are not talking about this, talking about the queer community in general.
Yeah.
If one of the organizations that gave a donation, that gave everything they raised this month to the Trevor Project, great work. I fight for queer youth every day. But if one organization was to shift, or if the Trevor Project was to say, we're going to shift that, there is nothing that has been shared on this live that is not possible. There is nothing that's been discussed that is out of limits. My first year at Black and Pink, my budget was $225,000. Last year I raised $1.3 million. And I shared that because people told me what was not possible, and I knew it was. Yes. And sometimes the seed of it is just speaking it into existence. And so, sis, say that with your chest. 200K per month is minimum. Because also, when we talk about people doing the work, when we talk about the people that most likely will be hired, the trauma it takes to do this work for me every day, the check I receive for Black and Pink will never compensate me enough for the hour we've had on this conversation and the things I got to take away.
The gag is I can't even pay myself. You know, I think that's why I'm still working a 9 to 5. You know, the Patreon that I have for my projects that I birth, and R.O.A.D is one of them, I only get $435 a month. That goes back into the stipend of folks who are helping me because I can't work. R.O.A.D, I can't do it all, right? Then R.O.A.D has a Patreon. We only get $32 out of that. So I'm looking at $500. That is to either give someone a stipend or to send it to Africa. Right, that's what I know every month is coming in is $500. My team is my team full of queer and trans folks are so loving that they're like, listen, we'll figure it out. Send it to our siblings in Africa because they see the messages. And I cannot understand why. I just don't understand why I have had to struggle so long as someone who has been in this work for 10 years. I'm gonna just be honest from heart to I cannot understand why. As someone who has been doing this for 10 years, since Islam Nettles, the murder of Islam Nettles, why I struggle so much to get folks to move. I don't know. I don't know if it's a shadow ban, as they say. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But I know what stands true to me is that I won't stop. I won't stop because I know that this is good seed. To have land reclamation as a Black trans woman, 2 women come together to have land reclamation on the continent of Africa. You can't tell me we got this shit. And it started off as an agriculture project. We started with just trees and land not even cured. They had to cure the land, freshen it out, create squares. Now you see crops growing. It's going to take a full year for it to grow, but when it grows, I'm telling you, the village that we can free, because it's true that when you give a woman $1, she feeds the village. So every dollar I have gotten, I have literally fed a village. I don't know why I struggle, but I know how to make a dollar. I spend,
Listen,
honey.
there is that moment when your mama walks in the kitchen with a bag that don't even look half full, and she comes out talking about dinner is on the table. And for me, those moments when people try to minimize or erase the power of our womanhood as trans people, I always look to the fact that it's these internal powers that women have that we just come with.
Yes.
And so I look at my mother, I look at myself, I look at you, Nala, I look at Kim, I look at Mariah and Kayla, I look at girls, and I'm just like, we know how to take two things in the kitchen and come back and feed a whole group. And if that don't make me a woman, I don't know what does.
Come on
And
now.
so I am thankful.
Like, even when I see Kim send me pictures of the potlucks that they have, and I'm like, how did you make this a bunch? Rows of pots. She said, she sent me pictures of folks eating an abundance. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
No
Literally.
question.
No, she knows how to feed, like, her children. I want to talk about one thing.
Yes,
thing, it's because it's so important. I remember when you called me, Kim, and if you don't mind, about your daughter who was in school being bullied. Can I share that?
Yeah, please.
She has a trans daughter who was in school, who she called me. She said, sis, can you talk to my daughter? Because she's thinking about dropping out. She only had two more months or 2 more years, or 2 more months to finish.
2 more months.
She was getting bullied so much as a trans girl. Secondary university, ready to be a doctor.
My God.
She was ready to drop out of school because the bullying was so bad. And I said, sis, if you finish, I got a gift for you. And I still got a gift for her. But what I'm saying is that we can't say, even in the oppression of countries that are so repressing trans folks, that trans folks are not pushing. She still went to school and she finished through the bullying, through the beat up, to become a doctor. And I know she's going to be a great doctor. So I just want to put that out there, that child, a baby, when we take over.
Well, there takes some nerve, some audacity, the way that white people talk about us pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps, when, honey, we created that. You know what I'm saying? That whole piece of resilience, this idea of what tried to kill me didn't. We know how to do that. This work has to push us to a place where we should be celebrated for more than just surviving.
That's right.
How about y'all tell the systems to stop trying to take us out? I don't want to fight every day. I have to. And so we're talking about showing up for the work, manifesting the work in a way for us not to have to fight, because when you stop fighting, you get to love that much more. And so today I am so blessed to know that in this journey we are in a place where we're together in this. I want y'all to know that, like, the conversations and the pushing and pulling. Nala, I don't know what you have next, but I inbox you my real number, the bat signal number. I need a call right when we get done, because I got to run something past you, because they're just this can't this just can't keep going like this. So I'm thankful for y'all so much.
Thank you for your urgency and your rigor, because I think, if anything, you just broke the glass ceiling, as we say, in a way, and you're being careful where the glass fall. You're being careful where the glass fall, because I have literally been trying to break that glass open, and I'm so grateful again that you thought it not robbery to say, I feel like I need to be called to do something. That's what I needed. Because I always say, this is not for me. This love letter, this gift is not for me to be at the top and looking like I did it. No, I want to be walking down and you see thousands arm in arm, like Salma, walking down, and there's trans women and trans men, non-binary people talking about how we made it over. So that kids that are queer and trans have a space to see themselves globally. That folks in theology will change their rhetoric, that they're able to interrogate text and to always see that we've always been there as eunuch shamans, and then some, and then some, and then some.
You know, Black and Pink was founded by a Unitarian pastor. And in the root of, we see people and we don't throw people away.
Nobody's disposable. Nobody.
Nobody's disposable. And this idea of what does it mean to love people in radical and audacious ways is something that we need to use as a compass. So y'all go to all of Black and Pink's social media. There has been information being shared. If you're on our listserv, you will be receiving emails. And I've kept it cute with y'all. My team has not been sending out a bunch of emails to where y'all should just be deleting our emails at this point, honey. Open it up, because it costs us every time we send it. Because we're trying to bring you real information, because y'all are the same people that are like, what can we do? The people who are impacted the most are telling y'all right now what we need done. Yeah. And this is the time where activation happens. So let us do the work and not need a hashtag to do it. Let us do the work and not need a video of a Black body being murdered to do it. Let us do the work because we're telling you the work is necessary. And so Nala and Kim, I love you both so much. I am thankful for your existence. I am thankful for your work. I pray for your peace and for your restoration in the middle of this battle. And I want you to know that I am not going to rest until we have figured out how we can leverage every piece we have access to make sure that we are seeing a global shift, because I want us all to go to bed at night and feel like our biggest concern is what time we have to wake up tomorrow. Okay? So thank you everyone for joining. Share this live, share this post. It will be posted to the Black and Pink, all of our official platforms. It will be on our YouTube channel. And I need y'all to keep y'all eyes peeled for additional information and additional ways that we're going to share with you all to show up and engage with us, because this is just the start to what I hope, this time next year we are talking about who I want to come so we can cut the ribbon on this new house. Huh? Listen, I got on my Kiki sheer hair.
I'm not gonna say when, but Kim and I have been talking that once it lifts, and I'll talk to you privately, that I will be taking a pilot of stakeholders, such as trans folks who have their own nonprofit and stuff, to come with me to Kenya and Uganda. I'll tell you when privately. So we'll go meet with Kim and we'll go look at the land. So that will be a ribbon cutting, but we'll be able to touch the soil and see the harvest we've reaped.
Come on.
So we'll talk about it.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much. Kim, my sister, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
you are beautiful. You are beautiful. You are light. You are power personified. I don't think there'll be enough ways that we can express to you our gratitude for what you are doing. And I'm thankful for you, my sister.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, y'all. We'll talk soon. Everybody enjoy the rest of your, what is today? Tuesday, and we will keep y'all informed of next steps. Bye.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, sis.